Up with an interesting idea. The idea is this. Think about what may be the most important question to ask now. Have a state of mind to question what's the important thing to do. And if you can answer that, that's fine. If you can't answer easily, then you are too close to whatever needs to be done and don't see the overview, global view of what's going on and where you are and which direction may be safer, interesting, fun, and less dangerous. Why I thought about that question to ask, I guess I do that fairly often, and probably in today's situation, if I can think back, just a while ago I was thinking of how much time should I spend on this project and that project, and then if I do that, what would be like at the end of the day and the next day, something like that. But being able to ask that question like that, and then I had a new interesting idea popped up to intervene that thinking. I just went ahead to check what that was, or what that may be. So I spent maybe 20 minutes or more on that. But in the back of my mind, I knew the priority item and the time that may require for me to spend. So I'm still balancing out. Now, I talk about the middle way, always balancing. So this is one way of balancing, doing what's really important and what's not, and be able to assess how much you can be playful, have fun, and forget about the important thing, but knowing how much time you have to allocate. And if you don't do that, you may get screwed up. When I see people looking at the behavior, I can think of one person's case, and this person says one thing, the next time I meet, it says another thing, and then another thing, changing schedule. So it's very sporadic, I don't know if that's the right word, not predictable, not stable. And each of them, I don't think this person realizes what he's saying is contradicting to what this person said the day before. So if I look at the person's case, it's like doing things just pop up and respond to it accordingly. It may work, but if there's some root-related important issue that you want to address in your life, that approach of bouncing around without connecting to the root is not going to be productive or interesting, because at the end of the day, what would have been accomplished? You keep shuffling. Instead of shuffling various ideas, let the ideas settle and let it self-generate, sort of those who are not important goes down and those goes up. Be important one, not 5 or 7, but 1 or 2 or 3. So you have that perspective of few key items, like a Pareto principle. You focus on that, you get 80% of what you might want to accomplish. If you just handle up 20 of those, sporadic ideas, what happens is that you achieve something, but you may be exhausted, especially because you are not, spending time allocating to judge what is really important. So I think, my view, at least for my sake, I spend time, and I was wondering, in a way, why I'm so quiet, and I like to be quiet. just walking down the aisle, I'm at the Zen temple, I like to just walk in Kinhin, the walking meditation. It doesn't have to be walking, sitting the same, or just, doing something, but have a moment to stop the time, stop the mind, and maybe connecting to the nature and feel alive, and make sure that there's energy flowing, Waku Waku, sense of aliveness there. If not, that will be the prime time. Wait a minute, why I don't feel it? Let's be quiet. What is important? Am I rushing too much of this and that? I think that's the internal gauge we can have to live life in the manner that is balanced, what's important and nurtured, and not just everything in a package and just picking up and doing things for the sake of it. It can work. Some people may be good at it. But in my case, I don't know if I'm a good example, but my realization is knowing yourself, knowing what's important, have a balanced view, overview, perspective, how much it may take, and keep on going through. And that process, if you go through the check, act, plan, do, your assumption of how much time and so forth may be different. But you have a yardstick to compare against instead of, why did I spend so much time and I run out of my time for the other? That kind of a unbalanced situation may be avoided. And if you accumulate that kind of habitual pattern to be enforced and worked on versus the other approach, which is, and that could be fun like children. Yes, I don't mind being a child, so you can allocate lots of time on that, that's fine. But you got the brain, and you want to have a balance, not just for your own sake, but for the society's sake. And to have the balance, the yardstick, and carry that yardstick all the time with you, or every now and then to check it, whether it's in the meditation or walking or just looking up the sky or just stopping or having a cup of coffee. Intentional break to space, create a space. And that kind of idea may be helpful. Maybe my interaction with AI is triggering me to think like that, because the AI's response is always quick, but they can be very misguided, hallucinating. Just like yesterday, I had this maybe 40, 50 pages of material. One of the AI, this was a deep seek. I said, because of his hallucination, if you have multiple segments that is in the package of the data, he may just choose one or come up with this different, his own created answer to his own created question. Hallucinating. That happens. So I wish AI can stop and allocate time and have the segment accordingly be able to address, instead of just jumping into it and at the end of it you are talking about something else, and that happens in AI. And maybe it's happening in humans as much as in AI, because there's a replicate of the situation in many ways. But be careful. Have a calm and quiet mind always at the center, and have a moment to know what's going on. Have a good balance. Be always aware. So well, maybe not for everyone, but for my case, I find it very productive, and wise, if we can do that, to avoid the chaos. And not just that, the opposite of that is you can see forward what can happen. And actually that's one of the, maybe I add one more thing. I was talking with this AI, GPT, in something about the legally connected issue, a little complex, or quite complex. But having that stop and think and breathe, focus on the now, and what's the balance, what's the missing link, you come up with the idea. So that's what happened, and that's also the case that the AI may be too narrowly focusing on this and that, but you have to set your time outside of it, as much as you may do the same with others or with your own self. That is very helpful to be rooted, grounded, and to connect to the idea of may all beings be happy. I think that's the way to go, at least for me. Thank you.